Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 9 of the F1 Agenda. I'm the new permanent host, Dan. You should know me from other episodes. And today I'm joined by Simon,
Hey.
Jeebus,
Hey.
Geordie,
Hello.
and LambreX.
Hey.
Today we'll be reviewing the 2018 Canadian Grand Prix. And first of all, I think we'll jump into, practice, because that was the more interesting thing. You'll find out after the race. And Max finally got his redemption and seemed to look good in practice.
Well, he didn't hit a
Yay.
wall, so that's an
He
improvement
didn't
on
crash
it.
once.
Well, okay, but I feel like, I guess Max Verstappen is an easy man to criticize. I think it was getting slightly ridiculous the amount of criticism he was getting.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I know he wasn't performing brilliantly. Don't get me wrong, but
I mean,
you know,
he lost 55 points in 6 races.
okay, but every driver's done that.
The thing,
Yeah,
I think what people pointing out was the fact that he had made a points costing mistake every single race so far, and that was what people were starting to doubt, that he still had the maturity to race, and
I mean,
with
of course he does.
yeah, he does. But it's mostly because he also had quite a few incidents with other drivers. However, I feel like it became a joke basically. Like,
Yeah.
if Verstappen will hit the wall of champions.
Yeah.
Ha ha
So
ha.
before the weekend even started, everyone's just like, oh, who's going to hit the World Champions first? And everyone's like, oh, it's going to be Verstappen.
Well, it was either who's gonna hit the wall of champions, or where's Verstappen gonna crash.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be who's going to hit the wall of champions, Verstappen or Grosjean.
It was neither, in fact.
It's the WTF1 standard of jokes here. It's just awful.
Actually, just one thing I remember. Did anyone actually hit the wall of champions this weekend?
Stroll.
Of course.
He got a puncture in FP1, I think.
He
Sorry, Jeebus.
he glanced it. It wasn't like a full.
He got a puncture. That's more than the glove.
Stroll is the best driver in the world.
Oh, no, not this again.
No,
Not this again.
It wasn't
We
like
had
a
this last time.
We had enough at Monaco.
It wasn't like a full, Michael Schumacher kamikaze into the wall.
Well, no. Very true.
He just basically did what Sorokin did in Monaco.
Yeah.
No. Because
Speaking of Sorokin,
Sorokin basically just hit the wall in a straight line.
But so did Stroll.
But
The Wall of Champions is straight. It's not curved.
no, but you're approaching it as a curve.
But he hit it straight.
Oh, shut up. Move on to your
Okay,
next-
before we get caught up in another absolutely
mainly,
brilliant Lance Stroll debate, just like last time
We're
out.
going to get into another one soon.
I mean,
Yeah,
practice.
but we'll get on to that. I think we
Williams,
should round
abysmal.
up more on practice. Yes,
Williams
Lambert,
is-
we're going to talk about Williams, I believe.
Williams, abysmal practice. Abysmal weekend, but
Abysmal.
especially practice. Both of their drivers crashed. Both
Oh,
of
yes.
they were just slow.
I won't say crash.
Well, Sorokin did crash. Stroll sort of glanced the ball, but both caused damage to their cars.
Yeah, both lost valuable time, basically, in the session.
I mean, it was just shocking weekend from Williams.
I mean, it's just a continuation of their shit year, really.
Like,
Would you say-
it's once again, it's the weekend where Williams somehow is slower than 2017.
Yeah.
Unless
Not
it's
like the third time this year.
unless it's been
More of it.
like, I've never seen anything like this before. I watched F1 for like 13 years now, and I never, unless it's been a major regulation change, ever see a team go backwards on development. I can't fathom how Williams somehow managed to build a car worse than 2017.
And the
Hmm.
thing, it's well just like it's worse because they were like, oh, we're bringing in Paddy Lowe, and Paddy Lowe's like this amazing designer, and this
Right,
is like
yeah.
this
They
is
tried
their
to
worst
basically change the philosophy that they've had for like the last couple of
Yeah.
years.
car. This car is the worst Williams I can like in recent memory, because even their 2011 car was better than this.
Because they
And-
basically their last philosophy was just basically straight line speed and make the car slippery.
Yeah.
They tried to add more downforce this year, that hasn't worked, and it's also completely killed their straight line speed advantage that they had from last year. So they can't even use that now.
Force
So
India.
they've literally just got a
reckon,
boat.
Force
Quite literally,
India,
yeah.
yeah, because they're now slippery in a straight line, and they haven't got good downforce, but they haven't got bad downforce either.
Yeah.
I don't see it improving for Williams anytime soon.
No.
I
Because
think they're going
Not anywhere. They could probably gain like a
they're
tenth
going
or
to
two, but they're not
become
going to
the
get
back
anywhere near where they.
markers. I genuinely, but even in the long term, I don't see them improving.
I feel like I feel like the fact that the Roth was this week, I feel like the fact that the Roth race was probably the only thing Williams will win this year is embarrassing in a way.
it's the only thing going to win in the next 5 years.
And if Mercedes are going to do something like Ferrari did with Alfa Romeo, they're not going to put money into Williams. They're going to put money into Force India.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say probably more Williams, because Williams are losing Martini at the end of this year, and apparently, what is it? This New Energy, or whatever, they're close to buying over Force India.
According to at least the CEO, but Force India is denying it.
Yeah, well, they would, wouldn't they? Because they're holding out for more money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially as Vijay Maloney is left as the team chairman or something.
Mm.
Yeah. Bad times for Williams.
Yeah. It doesn't look to be getting any better anytime soon. But back to practice. Max Verstappen and Red Bull seem to be pretty quick.
It's the same thing this season. Like, Red Bull have always been good on a Friday, and then they just have nothing on the Saturday and Sunday.
I think the problem is, because Max said this after the race, the problem is because Merck and Ferrari can turn their engines up in qualifying, they're always lower down in track position, and therefore can't show the pace on the Sunday that they can show on the Friday.
I'll say especially Ferrari's better than that one, because like most of the races now they've been like, oh look, like people are like, where's Ferrari, and yet they just like Friday like for the top three teams, Friday's practices become useless to get anything out of, because usually Ferrari's way slower than they will be.
Well, it's not really just the place on the leaderboard, it's the long pace that you really look into.
That too.
And Red Bull have been like the best for a few races this season.
Mm.
Like in Baku, they were like people like saying they're going to be amazing, and then they were behind the Renaults in the first stint.
Yeah.
I mean, this race, Verstappen says they still had like the quickest car, or the second quickest car, in the race, but they couldn't show it because it's so difficult to obtain.
I know you guys haven't heard that, but Nick Lauda's interview by Danish television before the race started, and he was asked about who has the best package overall. He said the best car was Red Bull, and the best engine was probably Ferrari. And he said, and he admitted to be that Mercedes was actually, well, they were close, but they were a bit behind both of them.
Mm.
It's a Mercedes we haven't seen before, in a way, except for a bit last year.
I mean, it's great because you can see Mercedes actually on the back foot.
Oh yeah.
They're actually having to properly work for it. Like, hang on, this is not going to be as easy as it has been over the past couple of years. Like, we're going to have to really work to get this title.
I think it's more disappointing for Ferrari because they have Raikkonen. Because he's just so far down. Like, he was miles off Hamilton in 5th today.
I feel like Ferrari could have got more points, but Raikkonen is being too slow.
If Ferrari had Bottas, they'd be leading the constructors by a mile.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
If they had like half the field, like half the drivers in the field, they'll probably be higher up.
Yeah.
Even Magnussen.
It's been like a problem for Ferrari of like the last couple of years that Kimi doesn't always perform.
Yeah.
He's
Like,
very much on off.
Like, he was in the same car as Seb in the race, and he was like 15 seconds behind.
We said
Like-
this. We said this a few races ago though, that he's just kind of lost his motivation.
Mm.
Because at the start of the season you could see he was better than Vettel, and then after China, when they completely left him out to dry,
Yeah.
it just kind of killed his entire.
Yeah.
you
It's like he
know,
completely lost faith in the team. Like,
you know.
well, you clearly don't want me to win, so what's the point anymore?
But it's also like I don't see him retiring either. I don't see him just leaving
Mm.
Yeah.
because it's a weird one.
I think
Yeah.
I think he isn't gonna be there in 5 years, but I think Ferrari's waiting to see how mature Leclerc is by the end of the season. I think that's the point Ferrari's at. Leclerc has shown immense amount of talent, and done really well. Had a few or had now had like I think 3 or 4 point positions, including here in Canada. And
Yeah.
I feel like Ferrari currently just waiting to see how much are Leclerc gonna mature this year. If Ferrari feel like Leclerc is maturing well enough, at this point I feel like they may jump the gun on him.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that
True.
he'd be able to beat Sebastian Vettel over a season yet.
Oh yeah,
But
not yet. He's still
he's
very
think-
young.
faster than Raikkonen.
I think it depends.
Yeah.
I think if Vettel has a title by the end of the season, let's say he wins his title, I think he would allow Leclerc to go in. Because I think he just wants to get that one title under his belt. Because I think
He wants to have that title with Ferrari.
Yeah, I think he said it in an interview with Ted Kravitz for Sky that he won't consider retiring until he's won at least one championship with Ferrari.
Oh yeah,
Like that.
Well, it might be
Right.
there till he's like 50 then.
I feel like Vettel has
That
always
means Kimi will be there till he's 60.
I feel like Vettel has only admitted the fact that he wants to try and not beat Schumacher, but at least emulate what he did with Ferrari. He wants to win that championship with Ferrari, like his hero and mentor.
You can
Yeah.
see his helmet design is like Schumacher's old.
Oh yeah, like you can see how much he respects and honors. And I know from having read and such, those two are very close.
Yeah.
Even today with Michael's condition, they are I believe at least from like the few things I've read about it, on like very obscure places. Phil does visit the Schumacher family from time to time.
Mhm.
Well, he idolizes him, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, and Schumacher obviously did help Vettel in 2012 Brazil to win his fourth title.
Mhm. Well,
Yeah.
I think we move on from practice now and jump into stuff that happened in qualifying. And before quali really got going, Grosjean's engine decided it was done for the day.
Yeah, I didn't watch quali myself, but like I managed to see the clip of because and like I tried to explain to my family as well. He went out of the pits, decided to go down pit lane, and then all you see then is just a big pile of smoke. Basically, smoke screened the entire paddock.
Yeah. I believe they knew they had issues because after FP3 they had issues with the car and they tried to replace as many bits of the car as they could,
Yeah.
but it just didn't work and the engine just went, nope, sorry, not today.
Yeah,
Do we
it's
actually know
just been
what-
like, let me sleep.
Do we actually know what the issue was? 'Cause I
Uh,
think it was just an oil leak.
I
uh,
don't know.
It might
I-
have been a turbo failure or something.
But most of all about qualifying, it was a bit of a false hype really over the qualifying.
yeah.
I mean, I didn't really watch it myself, but what did you guys think?
It
Uh,
was very exciting.
From watching from the official F1 lab, so just the timing really, it was a start to try and follow because I could see how close it was. I couldn't see the actual racing or the actual action. We could see how close it was, and just seeing sectors go green and purple was like, oh, who's gonna take it? Who's gonna take it? Who's gonna take it?
Yeah, and
Oh.
then like by the end, obviously, Vettel got pole from Bottas from Verstappen. Ricardo then, no, Hamilton was fourth.
Yeah,
Hamilton fourth.
Hamilton, then Raikkonen, then Ricciardo.
Yeah, Ricardo had engine issues though.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
had a worn engine, and that later transpired in the race.
Mm.
But Hamilton was just off the pace all weekend.
Oh yeah, for the man basically named King of Canada of that track, he was
Yeah.
no way. It was
It
just
kind of like
it was
reminded me of China, because it's like another track that Lewis is well known at being quick
Yeah.
at, and yet all China he was basically
like
falls nowhere, slower than Bottas, and
like
just like
having seen
not on the ball.
his dominance both since 2007, and so it was almost surreal seeing Hamilton struggle in a way. He
It's
was
only-
struggling so much.
If I'm not incorrect in saying, I think it was only the second time he's ever been outqualified by his teammate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's only the second time he's also not qualified in the top three.
It's I believe first time he's not qualified
I
and
know
not
that
finished in the top three.
His worst qualifying is fifth
Yeah.
at Canada.
Yeah, and that was in 2011
Yeah.
when you of course got taken by Button.
Alright, I know we're coming into, but this is the first time in Canada ever that Hamilton has not retired, one or been on the podium.
Mm.
He has either retired, one or been on the podium in Canada, except for now, until now.
Of course, in the race, he seemed to have a few engine issues,
Yeah.
which of course comes from the fact that before the weekend, Merc were, like all the other engine manufacturers, were meant to bring upgrades, but however, just before the weekend, they found a quality control issue and they couldn't bring it, so they had to run the old engine.
Basically, if you ever played F1 2017 and you are going to Jeff's rooms after an upgrade, you know how frustrating that can be. Imagine that in the real race, in the real world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think Lewis at the end of the race said he kind of felt lucky that he actually finished.
Well, I find it interesting actually that he had lots of issues and Bottas didn't.
Yeah,
Why?
but Bottas seemed to was just better.
Because it is Bottas' second allocation, but that is only because of the precautionary sort of thing from Australia.
Mm.
So, like, technically they've done like the same mileage on that engine. So it's a bit strange how
yeah.
Hamilton's.
I guess it's just luck of the draw, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. But
Unless he's going to start talking about conspiracy against him again.
that's 2016 all over again. But I think we'll talk about the probably like the main event of the race. It happened on lap 1. It was pretty clean start for the first part, and then we got to turn 5, and oh boy, Hartley was airborne.
Things went wild. Let's put it like that.
I know Red Bull gives you wings, but
It was a great crash.
from a action perspective, yeah, it was a great crash. As a but it didn't look the best of like from Hartley.
sure,
Like
Hartley's opinion, I think he probably wasn't best placed.
yeah, no. Actually, the thing is, the crash actually was so violent that for Hartley at least that he had to go to the hospital to get checked.
Because he hit his head on the halo.
Apparently, yes, he hit the halo. Like there was like a GIF on Twitter, and it was so hard to pinpoint if he actually hit because his head movement was so rapid. Once he was lifted into the air, the head movement was so rapid, which tells a lot about how bad it could have been. Like his like I think he bounced like once or twice in like less than a second.
Mm.
Imagine that being your head.
Yeah. But I think all of us agreed that it was definitely a racing incident. No one was at fault there.
Yeah.
Because of course it's lap 1. This stuff kind of happens on lap 1, and if you've seen the onboard, you see Stroll.
Unless your name's Claire Williams, spousey chick.
Well, yes.
Oh,
well.
no, it's just stupid, but Claire. Like, what are you thinking? Of like, I know it's not like. Of course, you want to blame other things, but blame something which clearly, very clearly, wasn't at fault. It's
Mm,
just plain stupid.
yeah. Well, I
It's
know you
just-
want to like take your driver out of the ship, but it was no one was properly blaming Stroll anyway. Like we saw he dropped the rear, he'd nothing he could do about it, and they were both basically just passengers
yeah,
after that.
'cause if you look at turn 5 and 6, it's just so tight.
Yeah.
And
it's
the
so
fact that the
quick.
Williams car basically is crap really doesn't help. He's
The fact that
just
it
watch
both,
onboards of that Williams, they're fighting it basically everywhere,
the,
like
the,
every corner. It's
I
like
was, I was
sideways.
like the fact that the boat probably spin and Williams still like it's that bad.
Because Stroll did actually give Hartley space. Like, it's not like
Oh,
he
yeah.
just completely
Yeah.
ran him out into the wall.
Oh no, it was because of he lost the rear.
He lost
Basically,
the-
you can see how he tries to get regain control, but it's just too late.
Yeah.
Harley can't do a thing
Yeah.
There's just
because
so much.
Harley
'Cause
can't break enough, like can't break quickly enough because Stroll's going too fast. So
Yeah, and then it kind of isn't helpful. It's basically happened on basically the narrowest part of the track.
yeah,
Yeah.
There's just basically walls both sides. There's nowhere to go.
yeah.
So yeah, it was a big crash. It was funny actually because I was thinking, oh, we haven't had a massive like incident like last year where some car goes flying across the track, and then instantly that happens. I
You just see
thought-
Hartley flying
Just see-
sideways through the air towards turn
Yeah.
6. Like, oh, hi there.
And it's another it's another sideways Taurus.
Yeah.
I mean, this doesn't really help Hartley's season either. Because there's been a lot of talk about Brendan Hartley.
I feel like if Toronto are firing after that, that just doesn't make sense.
This
Harley,
year hasn't really been his fault, and he's getting a lot of stick for not
Oh, I
being
don't
great.
get it. I know.
I
Yeah.
I, I
Like,
feel,
he's done a lot of good job. Like China, people could say he was hit by his teammate. Monaco, he only qualified down yet because he ran into traffic. Like you saw the pace that Toro also had. If he'd have got a clean lap, he'd probably be in the points. And he was running what 11th in the race anyway.
Exactly.
yeah.
So you can see he was quick. And today, well, not today, but when in Canada, that he has nothing to do about that. And there's so much talk about him going, oh, they're going to just remove him. Just like, give the guy a chance. Like,
Also,
this is his first proper season, really,
like
in the car.
so just to put it out, versus everyone goes to Harley came from LMP1,
Yeah.
which is a vastly different type of machine compared to Formula cars.
Because wasn't that the last
Uh,
time he drove like a Formula car was like 2009?
Yeah, and he had 4 races, I think, 3 or 4. I can't remember. Was it 3 or 4 races in the last years of Rosso, and then he had now 7. He had about 10 races in an actual F1 car, or actual Formula
Mm.
car, and like the change to go from a sports car like a sports car prototype like an LMP1 car to an F1 car is massive.
Yeah.
They handle very different because the F1 car is so much lighter. And it's just it's such a hard transition for a driver.
Yeah.
Because
Plus, he also has to probably change his driving style a bit.
that too.
Oh yeah, he does.
Because, of course, there was talking because if we go back to China, where he's asking, should I just like Pierre through? Because he was doing that more like a team thing, because that's more of what you get in like endurance
Oh,
racing.
oh yeah,
more as a
like
team.
like he's used to the fact that some cars may be like he or another car may be many laps down. So like so he has that he's in the mentality of, oh here maybe I'm maybe a few laps down. Here comes my teammate. Should I let him through?
Yeah.
It was an interesting. Did you hear this from Monaco actually? Who was it? Was it? I think it was Sauber or Force India who said that Hartley actually purposefully sped in the pit lane. Purposely sped in the pit lane, so then he would jump them. And then-
Really?
yeah, because they
What-
thought that getting the track position was more important, because so then they would have to clean air and then be able to gain the 5 seconds.
That's interesting.
But he only sped by sped. Why do I keep on saying sped? He only sped by only 1 mile an hour, so it's not exactly.
Well, no, that makes no difference at all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Can't speak to that.
yeah. I think that basically that basically rounds out the
Speaking of
exciting
outrageous,
moment of the
well,
race.
no, there's one more. Speaking of outrageous things to say, Sergio Perez
Oh yes.
Oh dear.
being an absolute, being petulant as always in the car.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm really starting to. He's really starting to get on my nerves, Sergio Perez. It's never his fault.
Yeah. If people haven't
And
seen
but
it,
the
it
worst,
was
the
it the
worst
safety
thing,
car restart?
it was
Yeah.
safety car restart.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He was
he hit
going
Sainz,
side by side with Sainz into turn one.
and he hit
Arguably,
him.
basically turned in on him, and then went flying over turn two and nearly flew into everyone else.
And then he,
And then
he was on the
instantly
radio.
blamed Sainz. Like,
He was on the radio
Right.
saying he should be black flagged.
yeah,
And literally,
Like-
Martin Brundle and Paul di Resta both were laughing,
Yeah.
actually
I-
laughing at
the-
him.
the
in
thing
private box.
the thing I got annoyed most about the incident, well, just as annoying, is the fact that his regen was so unsafe.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like it was just either Alonso or Magnussen being just a bit further ahead, and he smashed into them.
at
Like-
least he didn't do a Grosjean.
Like Kevin had to stop up so much, just to try and avoid Paris. Like, I almost carry as like an unsafe rejoin.
Hmm.
I'm gonna see how he purposely tries to get in quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, he basically just went the panic, like, oh crap, I'm off the road. Let me get
Yeah.
as quick as possible so I don't lose places.
Yeah, but it was just dangerous.
Yeah. But that's
Yeah, I mean,
probably
it wasn't
all
very
the
exciting.
on-track
But I was just
action.
very
There was
annoyed
a
because
few
it's just-
battles between.
There wasn't a few battles.
Well, there's a few cars close to each other in air
At,
corners.
at points, you could say some cars were like within like they could maybe see each other, but
Yeah.
Well, there was a good battle between Alonso and Leclerc.
oh yeah.
It seems to be like a
a
recurring
lap.
theme this year. Hey, it's something, all right.
And has Hamilton ever has Alonso ever come out on top of that battle?
No.
No, I think Leclerc's beaten him every time.
No, I think Alonso got ahead. And
Got ahead, but I think that was through the pit stops.
Yeah, and
I think he jumped him in the pits. It wasn't on track.
I don't know.
I was sitting here, we were talking about Alonso. The only other major thing that happened is, of course, he retired
yeah,
from the race. Another
and
is it
and
two
no,
DNFs in a row.
yeah, Alonso retired, and no one was shocked.
Yeah, we'll get on to Alonso more at the end of the podcast. We've got more of an interesting point about him. But he, I think it was around lap 45, 47. He retired with like exhaust issues.
Yeah,
They don't like
And you-
Alonso, does
It
he?
was literally just,
It's just McLaren.
yeah.
Typical McLaren.
Mm.
yeah.
It's just. It's not even funny anymore.
Nope.
It's just sad.
It's just like depressing now. Just they've tried just every year. Just no, they're back to their old way again.
Maybe when Alonso leaves, people can stop talking about it because, I mean, it's just we said it before. We had like a long thing about Alonso
Yeah.
when it probably should have been about William. About Alonso and him he needs to leave McLaren.
Mm.
They're just not helping each other.
Yeah.
But hey ho.
If he leaves McLaren, then he leaves Formula One.
Mm-hmm.
But does he leave McLaren?
Well, that's what I think he's gonna go to IndyCar next year.
More on that later.
Yes, as we just finished off the
And
last
just skip right to the end of the race.
kind of talking point from Canada because the race was it wasn't anywhere near a classic, and it clearly wasn't. It was clearly so boring they had to bring the flag out early because seemingly everyone was bored because they had a celebrity, I believe, was gonna wave
Winnie
the flag.
Harlow. Yeah.
Yeah, and
God knows who she is.
she waved the flag, I think, 2 laps early.
Thank God she did.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't miss anything.
Was-
Could have waved it about 40 laps early, wouldn't have missed anything.
Well,
it
Ricardo
was
doesn't like
one
it.
lap early, but it wasn't her fault. She got the instructions to wave the flag, and then you do it
Yeah.
because the officials were confused because they saw it was how do I say that? It was lap 69 of 70, and then they thought they already did 60 laps, but they were in lap 69.
Ah,
And
right.
yeah, that's where the confusion came from.
Hmm. Ricardo might be a little bit miffed because his fastest lap wasn't counted in the end, and Verstappen was able to get it.
Because I'm not in the UK, I didn't see it, but like I saw the clip of Ricardo finding out he didn't get fastest lap, and just his face was priceless. I know one of
the one thing I wanted from the race, and you take it away.
I know one of the AY admins and one of the guys at the coordinates F1 Esports, then Hawkins, just had one loud laugh in the background, and people just turned around and stared at him. Oh, it was fantastic.
Yeah, it was quite an interesting moment when you see the checkered flag waved too early.
Yeah.
But that's basically it from Canada. That shows you how little happened, and time to get on to LambreX's favourite part of the race ratings. Get ready for sub-zero ratings, everyone. Simon, I think Simon. Do you want to start us off?
I'll give the bottom of like the bottom one I can get, which is a 0 out of 10. It was, except for 1 or 2 moments, it was dead.
Yeah.
Absolute dead. Nothing happened for like 67 laps. I'm kind of happy the race was waited off early. I just wish it could happen like lap 1. Or anything else. Mostly shows who could be safe for the torture that race was.
Jeebus, your race rating?
I'll give it a 2. It had some moments. It had about 2 moments, so I'll give it 2.
I mean, it had moments, like time passed during the Grand Prix.
It just passed very slowly.
Time passed. It didn't seem like time passed during the Grand Prix.
Oh, yeah, well, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Jordy, your race rating?
Most likely a 3 out of 10. Because, well, the crash obviously brought it up a little.
Is it because Verstappen got on the podium again?
Verstappen got on the podium! No, but there was fair little happening. Only a few pit stops, which went very badly.
Yeah.
Ocon and a wheel thingy. And Lewis came on the grass, leaving the pit lane. But yeah, that's literally it. There was nothing else.
Get ready for some harshness. LambreX?
Like, I don't know.
Is it going to be in positive numbers?
Well, no. Well, I guess. Well, let's not be clickbaity. Like 0 out of 10. Pathetic.
Even Monaco was better than this.
Welcome to the rant, everybody.
Hey, whoa! I haven't done my bit yet.
Well, I'm sorry, but you've set me off, Daniel.
Let Daniel do his thing.
2 minutes.
Right,
we
Daniel,
have to finish
go
a little bit off.
now, and then I'll take my rant.
Right, we've also got to do our drive of the day in a second, so hold on for a minute.
Oh, but what drive of the day? No one deserves drive of the day. It's like The Apprentice, when everybody's done so badly that no team wins. They all have to come back. No one deserves drive of the day.
Okay. I could probably mention one, but I'm not gonna. I'll just do my race break before Lambert shouts again. I can probably say like a 2 at best. Basically, like if the thing that happened on that one didn't happen, it would like be dead, like nothing. But if there was any drive of the day, LambreX, keep quiet. I'd probably have to give it to like Leclerc or Gasly. It's like, I mean, Gasly like came from the back up to like 11th, so.
You know, race is bad when the driver of the day finished 11th.
Finished 11th gets driver of the day. Does anyone else have any other opinions?
I would just like to point with maybe Roman Grosjean for taking that ultra soft tires so long.
No,
12.
That's not an achievement. I could have taken the fucking ultra soft to lap 69 if he wanted to.
But then he would have been disqualified for a no stop because the race ended.
What if that actually happened though? What if they waved the flag like 5 laps early and no one had pit because they were waiting out?
That's a whole kettle of fish. That is.
That would have made the race interesting, but
Shall we let LambreX rant?
Yeah, I think we'll get into the bit you've all been waiting for.
Hello.
LambreX, you may begin.
LambreX's rant time about F1, so go ahead, LambreX. Rant what do you want to rant about?
So, I mean, after Monaco, people were saying it's not the cars, it's the track. Canada is in the top 5 best racing circuits in the world, especially if your parameter is overtaking. And that happened. I have watched Formula 1 now for 9 years. I have never seen a worse Canadian Grand Prix, and I have not seen many worse races, full stop. Abu Dhabi 2017 springs to mind as one that was equally as poor. But this was pathetic. From start to finish, nothing happened. They just went round and around and around, following each other. There were 5 on-track overtakes.
Didn't Monaco have more?
Yes.
I heard. That
5
says everything
on-track,
about
but
what
the
you need
worst
to know about this race.
The worst thing about it, 5 on-track overtakes, they were all in the same place. All using DRS. And every single...
That third DRS zone really helped.
Oh, I know. Every single overtake was finished before the braking zone. So it wasn't even... It was just like a fucking motorway. The problem we've got is these... And I genuinely believe that the front wing, dirty air, whatever you want to call it, yes, it's a big problem, but the biggest problems are the tyres. The tyres are too hard.
Okay, can I interject here?
Yes,
I'm interjecting into the rant here.
you may.
But
Be careful.
I saw a tweet from Matty G, and everyone knows he's a cunt anyway.
Well, no, I like Matty G. What does he have to say?
He said, all we want to see is like drivers pushing all the time and everything. When we had that last year and everyone was complaining.
Oh well, I'm not of that opinion.
The issue is not that the tires are too hard. The issue is that the tires, the Pirelli have been asked to do an impossible job.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely, I agree with that.
People want drivers to push all the time, but they also want tires to be to have degradation. The issue is that it's why Ferrari didn't pit early, because teams never want to do more than one stop, because at a pit stop your entire race can be fucked up. It is the most vulnerable you are throughout the entire race.
Look at Force India. Ocon lost 2 places due to a bad stop.
I mean, but as far as I'm concerned with the tyres, we just... Go on, finish, go on.
So the issue is that drivers and teams will always try and do a one stop. So even if the tires, let's say, because the hypersulfur, they're not wearing out after 5 laps, but they're not wearing out. If they had pushed them, they probably would have only lost about 30 laps. So they're tire saving, and because everyone is tire saving, because everyone wants to do the one stop, because the delta between the 2 tires isn't enough to constitute another pit stop.
Absolutely.
So you've got everyone tire saving because everyone wants to do a one stop. Then you get no overtaking because everyone's doing the same thing.
Yeah, I'll just throw in an example here of the 1 and 2 stop thing. If you look at the 2012 race, everyone wanted the top.
Yeah,
I think Vettel and Alonso tried to stick out to do the 1 stop because they thought they could try and get to the end. Hamilton did the 2 stop, and because the delta was so much different, he gave so much time on the fresher tyres, as did people like, I think, Grosjean and Perez. They were able to catch and pass Vettel and Alonso. That's the kind of thing you want.
Exactly.
They could do the race on the 1 stop, but the 2 stop could be quicker.
That's exactly it.
As was proved. But the problem is this year, the delta between the tyres is not enough everyone's just going to go, well, there's no point doing a two-stop because we can't catch up the time back.
And I firmly believe that the sweet spot between like having, I think we need 2 to 3 pit stops at most races, with sort of some races where you've got 1 stop with a faster 2-stop perhaps. Then because you just really just need more than 1 pit stop. I loved the races in 2012, 2013 where you'd get 2, 3-stop races, and the racing was far superior back then.
I think there's also an issue with the cars being wide, because
I don't buy it.
well, because Ricardo said this, the cars are so wide, so there's no real gap to go for. Like realistically, if you increase the degradation of the tires offline, it's going to be even worse. So you're not going to want to go offline, because you remember in 2016, you saw the off the line at the end of races. It was absolutely filthy. There were layers and layers of marbles. If you add in, you can only go too wide, and your tires are going to be completely fucked if you go offline. No one's going to want to overtake, and because overtaking is so much more risky with wider cars, and shorter braking distance. Well, there might not be short braking distance, but the
Oh no,
point-
they are short braking distances. That's another problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it all just kind of like amalgamates into this entire thing.
So
'Cause-
essentially, what we've just said, discovered here, is that these regulations are a mistake.
Well, I think even at the time I was very sketchy about the 2017 regs, because they weren't finalised until a few months before the season ended. They hadn't really thought it through. It was just kind of a thing. Oh, people like wide cars. They like big tires. Let's make them attractive, so then we'll get more viewers. Completely forgetting that, about downforce and dirty air and everything.
Well, and that's it. And honestly, I don't really think that anybody gives a shit about how cars look.
I mean, you take better racing over aesthetics of what the car looks like.
Yeah.
Like I've been, and for example, but anyway, I've been to Mercedes-Benz World in London, and the Nico Rosberg's World Champion winning car was in like the lobby area. It's a beautiful building, by the way. I recommend it to anybody watching that likes motor racing. And looking and that car from up close is absolutely beautiful. The Formula 1 cars are a work of art anyway.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe they do look a little better now on TV. But if you look at something like British Touring Car Championship, you still get 100,000 people watching that every single time it's on, both at the stadium and on the telly. And those cars are just like average, family saloon cars.
Yeah.
We look at Formula E, that they're not particularly attractive cars, nor are they quick cars, but they provide some incredible racing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I got the part like ignoring LMP1, like it was like LMP2 and GTE racing, like the WEC, like some of the Kaufman are like the Prix, but it is bloody good racing to watch.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Like
and
I will watch
considering-
just watching, like I watched the 6 hour spot like the start of May, and the bottom class, which are GTE M class, well, there were 0.2 there were 2/10 between first and second after 6 hours of racing. I'll much rather have that than what we had here in Canada.
Yeah. Like if you got to like a motorsport fan and ask them, of F1, what would you rather have? Great racing and loads of overtakes, or the car looking nice?
Because I think
Like, what do you think they should go? What do you think they would go for?
I think that's an issue with F1 though. I think they're too focused on their image.
Yeah.
Because if Liberty want to increase fans, you're not going to get them by saying, oh, look at this car, isn't it nice? Because a lot of casual people who don't watch F1 just see it, oh, it's an F1 car.
Yeah.
They
And
don't
then they see, oh, there's no
F1
overtakes. There's no point watching.
Because when I first got into the sport in 2015, I didn't get into it through, the look of the cars or anything. I just saw an F1 car and it was an F1 car. I saw no difference between a McLaren MP4-4 or a Force India from 2014. you don't really see that as a casual person looking in.
Yeah.
So it's almost like they were appeasing the old fans with the new law,
which is totally pointless.
Yeah, because they're already fans. There's no point trying to appease people who already
Like they're already watching the sport, they're happy.
Exactly.
Like, you're not trying to appeal to them. You've already got them watching. You need to get the new people.
Yeah. So my point is that racing is just key. You're going to get more people going to races. You're going to get more people watching races.
If people hear about an exciting race, they'll want to watch it and see what happened.
Yeah.
If they hear about a boring race, like we've had like Canada, they won't watch it because they're like, "Oh, what's the point? I'll just be wasting my time."
Yeah.
That's the point with the new fans.
Well, I think we shouldn't like take anything away from the season. That's been very good. As a whole. It's just these past 3 races have just been awful.
I hear a sigh from LambreX.
But Baku was sort of like just crazy, but like it was one of those races that like was like good because it was crazy, right? Not because it was like sort of
not because not
and racing, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But Baku was not liked because it was good racing, that's because it was a good action.
Yeah, and that's great. But I seem to remember in sort of the early to mid of this decade and 2009 when I first started watching, a lot more races that were sort of like, yeah, that was enjoyable. There's some good on-track battles, good strategy. There was a fight for the lead. I seem to remember having a lot more of those feelings after a race than I do now. And that's the overall problem. And I want to talk about Sebastian Vettel and what he said after the race, because quite frankly, I wanted to punch him in the face. Again. You have fans, that are paying hundreds of pounds, thousands of pounds to go and watch a Grand Prix at the circuit. You have fans that are paying, 30, 40 quid a month to watch it on Sky, whether that's in the UK or in Italy or France or Germany or ESPN in America. And Sebastian Vettel has to cheat to say that like they're short-sighted, that they don't understand Formula One and the fact that every race shouldn't be a classic.
I don't think every race should be a classic person.
And nobody thinks that. That's the thing.
Well,
Sebastian Vettel's the short-sighted one here. Nobody expects every race to be a classic. But
if every race was a classic, he wouldn't appreciate the great races.
Exactly. But on a track as good as Canada, with as many overtaking opportunities as Canada has, 5 on-track passes is simply not good enough. And if Sebastian Vettel thinks that that's good enough, then he should get fucked. I'm sorry. It's just not good enough. And to compare Formula 1, 21 Formula races in a season, to the World Cup and football in general is completely ridiculous. Because in every single football game, even if it's a 0-0 draw, there are still chances. And football is just a completely different sport. If one football match is crap, then there'll be a better football match in an hour. Formula 1 has to deliver.
Can I say something here? The problem right in Formula 1 right now is the fact that the way the regulations set up how normal team philosophy is when they get design their own car for the most part is that the current F1 design philosophy and the current regulations has it that we have fast cars, but fast cars does not always equal good racing cars. There's a difference. A good racing car can race and be fast. A fast car can be fast but not always race.
Yeah.
And that's everyone's major problem right now is the fact that we have a situation where the regulation is set up to prevent racing almost, because they want the cars to be as fast as possible. As I just said, just because it's a fast car doesn't mean it's a good racing car. However, you can have the opposite, because a good racing car can also be fast if done right.
Because they didn't know what they want when they made these regulations. because they almost saw it as everyone was going to be amazed. Like they think, oh my god, everyone's going to be so amazed that we're doing like 110s at Monaco and Canada.
Yeah. Everyone's going,
Yeah.
oh look, we're going 5 seconds a lap faster.
Yeah, but that's
no one's doing anything.
But no casual fan gives a shit about how fast they go around the track. I mean, you could do Monaco in 5 minutes. If the racing was good, a casual fan wouldn't care. 1 minute, if because obviously I know that like the improvement it's been in Monaco is amazing. But a casual fan, if you go, oh, they're doing 1 minute 10s in Monaco, isn't that amazing? They go, oh, okay, cool.
Like that, I think that's why I really love watching especially like LMP2 and GT and WC and such, and like just general like LMP2 racing, IMSA, WC, European Le Mans series, is the fact that the racing is so good. I don't care the fact that the LMP1s are faster. I care for the fact that the LMP2s are having so good racing. Like, and I feel like that's such a problem for everyone right now.
And another point is that F1's always had this conundrum between being a show and being road relevant. Well, it's neither at the moment.
But
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
that's it, yeah. I mean, but road relevancy is just completely unnecessary.
Because now we've got Formula E. Formula E is where the road relevancy is at.
LMP, the LMP class has always been for the most part, always been a development class of racing. Like,
Exactly.
A majority of what Audi ever put on their LMP1 cars, both the LMP900 cars, the R8 and the R10, the R15 and the R18, a lot of the technology they gathered from things like Le Mans, WEC, American Le Mans series has gone into the current cars. The hyper system Toyota used in the start is now in their cars. Is in the road cars. That's the same hyper system they developed for the LMP1 car.
That
And
doesn't happen in Formula 1 because you're not going to get an MGUH
No.
in a road car.
no,
It's too expensive.
Yeah. But I think that's where we should round up our rant.
I mean,
About
yeah,
F1.
you could go on for hours, really.
Yeah, we could be here for like
also
hours
I
and
can
hours.
I just add one more point.
Yeah.
LMP1 racing is going a bit shit this year. Like just
Well,
last year.
That's a very different situation because that's just the.
That's
I mean,
that's
the
because
reason
Toyota's the
being
only.
dumb.
That's because Toyota's the only actual manufacturer back. But
Yeah.
that's a different story. But like when you had Porsche, when you had Audi, like you had so good racing all the time as well. In those series, while you had constant battles on track, and you're not really sure who won, not even the 6-hour races. And yeah, sorry, just running.
Yeah. I think that's a good point
It's
where we
just
can.
a shame. It's just a shame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all want Formula 1. I mean, we all come across very negative, I think, here.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, at the end of the day, it's out of love for Formula 1.
Yeah.
More
We just
than
want the
anything.
sport to
I-
come
I-
back to
I
where
rem-
it used to be.
I remember what I actually want to say. But like, I think last year's LMP1 cars, including the Porsche and Toyota, was about 10 seconds slower than the F1 car. We all know that. And then Porsche decided to see what happened if you actually could like get the weight down. Like if you just had a few, like they were out of regulations, so they tried to do the Evo just to see what they actually could get out of their 919 chassis. And when you look at the time they can get just by making some modifications to it, it was a weight reduction, more on power and such, and yet it was still heavier than the F1 car, and only just a bit more powerful. It was way heavier. The thing that weighs down the LMP1 is the weight. That's why LMP1s will never be faster. Just go on.
I think that could be, we can have a nice little sliding link here to a little bit more of a discussion about Alonso, because of course we've got Le Mans coming up next week.
Well, just in this entire week, really.
He's not going to win it because Toyota never win it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, well.
Of course, we have to.
No, I think a Toyota will win them more.
No, they're going to be 15 laps ahead and then DNF.
Yeah,
I don't
Toyota
think
do not have
just-
the best reliability stat. I mean, Simon's got his favourite stat about.
I mean, they've been far
Toyota.
better They've been far better this season, though.
Yeah, can I the thing just so like if can I just brief people about the whole schedule for Le Mans quickly?
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Go ahead.
yeah, yesterday's yesterday and today there has been Le Mans scrutineering, basically making sure cars are correct weight and such, basically all legal, and includes official photos and such. But that has been yesterday and today, Sunday and Monday. Then we got nothing tomorrow, basically just track preparation and such. Then we got at let me confirm the time here. Then at 3 p.m. UK time on Wednesday you have the only free practice session of the entire race. Then at 9 p.m. you have the first qualifying session, which is one of 2 night qualifying sessions. You got the Thursday afternoon qualifying session at 6 p.m. on Thursday, and then again 9 p.m. Thursday you got the last qualifying session. Got warm up at 8 UK time on Saturday, and then race started at 3 local time, so 2 UK time. Free practice, qualifying and warm up will all be streamed on the WEC app, and race will be streamed on multiple sources. Check with on FIA.VLC.com for your local.
Well, thanks for that little advertisement.
Yep. Now get into our little discussion point about Alonso's future for away from F1.
Well, as we know, McLaren are looking to go to IndyCar next year. Michael Andretti, obviously, who gave Alonso his Indy 500 debut last year in a McLaren livery like Andretti Autosport. He was in the paddock this week, and he's on about like giving them a team, sorting out a team for them. And then Zach Brown said in the run-up to the weekend, or it might have been on Friday, that it's very likely Alonso will be in a McLaren next year, but not necessarily in F1. Now, if he wins Le Mans, that's 2/3 of the Triple Crown. He's not going to be competitive in F1 for a few years, if ever again. He's clearly lost the hunger for it, because you can see it in his body language. He just doesn't care anymore. And in IndyCar, I mean, it's mad. It's actually good racing.
Well, for the most part. Let's just ignore the 500 this year.
Yeah. Blip.
Wasn't Texas alright last night?
Oh yeah. The thing is, I think I pointed out in once speaking with like writing with some people, the DW18, the oval spec version of it, seems to only have some problems at Indy, because it ran fine. It ran fine at multiple ovals this year, except for Indy. Only Indy is the one where they had the biggest problems with it. And especially the oval version. The road version has been fantastic, as seen with Belle Isle in Detroit just last weekend, the weekend before. The Indy GP, it just seems to be something with Indy about the car. Just a side note.
Yeah.
But Alonso is likely to win a championship in IndyCar. Maybe not next year.
I don't know.
At some point.
Yeah, I mean, you can go along. Yeah, that's it. You can go a lot longer.
He's more likely to win in IndyCar than he is in F1.
Oh yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Because I mean, we say McLaren, they're not going to be competitive for at least 3 years.
Probably.
Because this year is just terrible. Next year is going to be their first proper season with the Renault engine, because they got the engine specs so late last year that the chassis was just always going to be compromised. Next year, I imagine they'll be battling Renault, because you've got this whole thing of Renault wanting to be a top team, but then also supplying McLaren, who also want to be a top team. So you're going to have basically them two taking things away from each other. Red Bull is going to go to Honda, so then if Renault want to supply another team, maybe a B team type thing. Maybe they want to put some money into Williams. Maybe that's a possibility. That's another rumor for another day.
The jinxes, like on rumors and such, is pointing towards the fact that McLaren will probably have an IndyCar team next year. Drivers is unsure, but like a McLaren branded and McLaren named team in IndyCar next year, most likely. Actually, an interesting thing that happened, I think Sunday or Saturday, was that the current IndyCar driver Conor Daly tweeted out like just teasing Alonso to come over to IndyCar because of these McLaren rumors, and Alonso very cryptically answered with a GIF of, I think it's one of the How I Met Your Mother characters, holding a pillow, sitting in a couch and just looking up, hopefully.
Well,
Very teasing.
That's an interesting thing because he also tweeted this random person who had, one of the memes, I am male, I am female, but
Yeah.
it's one of them, and it said, I am hopeful that Alonso will go to IndyCar next year, and he replied to that with like just a generic like sunglasses down, like winking type thing.
Ooh. Yeah, no, Alonso has been teasing a lot with these IndyCar rumors as well.
I think even if McLaren don't get a team, I think he'd still go to IndyCar.
Oh yeah, no, he's
yeah.
he's definitely.
If a team get a chance to get Alonso up, I think they'll take it.
Yeah.
I think if he's not,
They
if
want to have like that. Imagine the headlines for them if they get Alonso winning Indy in their car, and if he
yeah.
if he's able to complete the Triple Crown, like it would be mad for that. Any team would take that.
Yeah. I mean, imagine if, because obviously it's a WEC super season, and they've got Le Mans twice, I think, in one season.
yeah, got this year and got next year.
So imagine if he wins both 24 hours of Le Mans. Like he wins 2 Le Mans. He wins the Indy 500. He wins 2 Monaco GPs.
I mean, to be honest, winning Le Mans twice is not a massive achievement.
When they get 9 time is though.
I mean, well, exactly, yeah. Like Tom Christensen won it 9 times. I think he's the other guy. It's really good. What's his name?
Also currently, I think of the current drivers on the grid, Yanni and Lotterer are by far the most experienced.
Yeah, Lotterer. There we go.
Lotterer, and I'll also put Yanni in there. Yanni has a lot of experience as well. But Lotterer is, by God, he's experienced with that race. Won it 3 times in a row with the same crew, and the way that they did that was amazing to watch.
Though he's in an LMP1 car this year, isn't he? So if Toyota have issues.
Well, he's actually in the most, like, the biggest favorite to win if both Toyotas retires. He's in the number one. He's in the number 1 rebellion. The rebellion, which has showed high reliability, high performance, and just generally faster than any other privateer. And Lotterer is such a good driver for that race to have. And you should take him with Neil Yanni as well, who has been absolutely magnificent for Porsche. When it came back into the LMP1, it's just like even with Senna, just those 2 alone are a dream team to have together.
I think Lotterer's going to be particularly motivated because he just missed out on pole position in Formula E.
Oh yeah, no, Lotterer seems to have gotten his groove back after the uncertainty about his future.
Mm.
Yeah, so
We'll also have LambreX's favourite, JB, will be at Le Mans this year.
Yes, he will.
In number 11.
Looking forward to seeing how well he does.
If you want to look for the number 11 SMP Racing LMP1 car.
Indeed.
Yeah.
With Formula 1 driver Vitaly Petrov.
Mm. There's a lot of former F1 and current F1 talent, I believe, in Le Mans this year.
I think I calculate. I think there are about 24 current or former F1 drivers at the race this year.
And people say that Formula E is for old F1 drivers.
A fun Reddit joke is that if you go WC feeder search, if you go on the subreddit WC feeder search, you just get a black screen which says go to r/Formula 1. Just the top class. We got Lotterer, we got Senna, we got Turvey, who's a former test driver. Roland, who was close. We have Kobayashi, Nakajima, Alonso. Like the entirety of the number 8 crew is just Buemi, Nakajima, Alonso. They're all former F1 drivers, former current F1 drivers.
Yeah.
Got Button, got Petrov. as well. Got Sadasan, who did one race back in '97. Like
It's indeed a very strong field as always.
you got just to go back to Formula One. Paul de Rest is racing this week as well. He's also had to take a plane from Canada to get to Le Mans.
He's racing for United.
United
Right.
Autosport, yeah. Zach Brown's team. We got Stevens, Van. Like you got so many. There's so many. Van de Gaard, Maldonado, Montoya. So many Formula F1 drivers. NASA as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then that's
Basically, there's a lot of F1 talent.
yeah,
in
no,
the field.
and there's even like future F1 talent because we also got Giovinazzi as well. Is also racing. He's racing in the 52 Ferrari GT car. You have people like you have IndyCar drivers on the Canon. You have Bode. You have yeah. Just trying to look through. Bamba, Formula Le Mans winner as well. Nick Tandy, Pile. Like that's a really strong lineup.
Mm.
Got Bernard Dumas again, really strong. Alex Lynn as well, also racing. For future, you got Fisichella as well.
Mm.
Racing. So like you got so many Formula 1 drivers to look out for if you're a fan of any of those.
Mm.
And chance of I'll say like for everyone out there, that's probably a high chance someone you have been following or like is pro racing.
Yeah. But I think that's where we'll round out today's podcast. I think we spent more time talking about stuff that wasn't the Canadian Grand Prix than the Canadian Grand Prix.
I think that shows a lot.
Exciting.
Yeah. There aren't any predictions for this week because we'll do we've got a special double header for next week, a France preview and also a Le Mans review. So check out, like and subscribe, and also follow us on Twitter to keep up to date with all that stuff. And say goodbye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Use the code L15 at checkout for a 15% discount.